Well, my name is Alex. I have an Instagram and YouTube I Love Sugar show, so I want to thank you for taking your time for doing this interview.
No, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no worries. So the first question I ask anyone that I ever interview is how's everything going in your world, not just in your music life, but also in your personal life as well?
Uh, yeah, life right now is really great. Yeah, no complaints at all. Uh, and yeah, music is great as well. I'm having a pretty good time right now, to be fair.
Well, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So for this EP that comes out that's called As Time Awaits, how do you feel now that it's out?
Really good. It's been a kind of a long time, a long time coming for us, and we kind of been waiting for these songs to come out so we can kind of push on further. And yeah, it just feels good that everything's out. It's all been really well received, and we're feeling really good about it. And I think more importantly is it kind of it kind of like opens up the next pathways for us as well of like what we can do and how we can kind of build from here, which is kind of important.
Mm-hmm. How did you feel on release day? Were you like nervous, more excited about it, or just kind of feeling mixed feelings?
Yeah, I think there's always a little bit of nerves, but I think that's probably disguised as it's probably excitement as well, kind of coming through. But I think you're
Hmm.
always a bit, because this, I think the music that we write is, it's very personal to us,
Hmm.
and I'm sure a lot of people feel this way, right? But
Yeah.
we've put a lot of hard work into it, so you do want it to be well received. So I think it coming out and it being well received, kind of like you any kind of nervousness or anything like that around it is kind of once it's out, it's like, oh, it's out for for people to listen to, and then you realize, yeah, I'm just proud of it, and the people that are gonna like it are gonna like it, and that's not really up to us, because as long as we're proud and we connect with
Hmm.
what we did, then I think that's the most important thing, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think it was a great album. I was really excited. I got to listen to it before it released, and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
it's gonna be really good when it comes out. A lot of people are gonna like it for sure.
yeah. No, I appreciate it.
So since it's been out for a little bit, it came out on the 27th of February. What would you change on it if you could go back and kind of make any changes?
I mean, I'm gonna go and say that I actually wouldn't change anything. I think what we did, and I think it really captures where the band was at that point, like a new drummer coming in and kind of the music we were writing. I feel like it really is just a reflection of like of that time period. And that's what I think I'm really proud of, it is that, that was us just doing what we do, and kind of not overthinking about what other people will think, right? So I think that we
Yeah.
just have done something that felt very true to us at the time. And going forward, maybe, and because it's an EP, I think we
Mhm.
did what we are going to do there. But I think we've also realised that what we can do going forward, but that will be more in terms of like a full length. So for this EP, yeah, I wouldn't change anything.
Well, is it kind of like, would you say like a screenshot in time of where the band was?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, kind of. That's kind of what I was. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Really, is that it was just a screenshot of what was going on in that time period, and yeah, that's kind of what came out.
Well, that's awesome. Like I said, I think it turned out really well. And I know you mentioned a new drummer. How did that affect kind of like the EP and the sound going into that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it didn't change much in terms of the writing process. I think a lot of the stuff was very, we've always had our ways of doing things. Like Blake and I will get our heads together and kind of come up with riffs, and then kind of build the skeleton of the song, and
Hmm.
then let everyone else have it, and then kind of the drums come in. And I think what it really changed was just like the approach to obviously to the drums. Really, is that there's definitely Kim is a different drummer to Uther. You know, he's got his different flavors, and I think
Right.
for what we did here is like he it was perfect. You know, in my opinion, I think what we wrote this time round is like it worked perfectly for Kim to come in and kind of do his thing. So yeah, it worked out really good.
Do you have a favorite song or a song that's really like personally close to you on the CP?
Um, it's difficult because I really like them all for for very different reasons. But I think it kind of chops and changes as well. You know, you kind of go back to it and you're like, oh, this bit. And I think playing, we got to play them live for the first time last week as well. And yeah, it was. I feel like the first song, Continuum, went down really well. You know, with like
Hmm.
the mid section, the kind of breakdown bit, it was really nice to kind of see people kind of reacting to that in real time, right? Because with
Right.
releasing online, you don't get to see how people exactly react, but being able to see it in person and kind of feed off the energy, it was like that was a really fun moment in the set. Yeah, and yeah, I'll go ahead and say Continuum, I think.
When you play a song live for the first time, do you feel like excited or nervous of how people are going to respond?
Um, yeah, it's difficult. Like, to be honest, it might sound stupid, but I'm not really too caught up in what people are going to think when they're watching it. I'm very much when you're playing something live for the first time, I'm more focused on me because especially like playing guitar and vocals and stuff like that. I'm very much like I need to get this right because doing it live for the first time is very much a different experience from like rehearsals and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's interesting. Like, and we definitely were thinking about how things will kind of go down but as we've never played them live. I think in previous, with previous releases that we've always played the songs live before they've come
Hmm.
out. So you are right in the fact that for the first time we were thinking like, how will this kind of feel in the live setting? Because it was out and done. And I think they all went over really well. And I think the crowd reaction was, really positive, and that's what you can ask for, really.
Yeah, for sure. That's a great response, especially, when you're doing your thing for the first time and just kind of introducing a song to, people for the first time. So, were there any sort of, I guess you'd say like unexpected challenges or hurdles that you had to get through in this EP?
I think the biggest issues we had were ironically like tech issues, and kind of because we're all working at home, working on stuff at home on computers and kind
Hmm.
of sending stuff off. And it was kind of like with because previously as well, our bass player, he was not in the band when we finished our last EP. So
Hmm.
when when we asked him to join, it was like these songs were already we'd already written and recorded guitars, vocals, drums, and then we were
Hmm.
trying to find a solution for what should we do with bass? Like, should we get our mate to record it? Because that's what we did previously. And
Yeah.
then we kind of went to him with the finished tracks, and it was like, would you be interested in playing on these and joining our band kind of thing? So this time round it was very much different because you had all of a sudden it went from just a couple of us to
Yeah.
all four of us, being very involved and sending stuff about, and then people, having problems, and then,
Yeah.
and then we're also kind of on a bit of a self-imposed time crunch as well, wanting to get stuff done. And, we booked the studio time, and then we're still having like, little issues trying to finish things up. But I think in the end, it kind of, they were little hurdles in the grand scheme of things, nothing that we didn't through, I suppose.
And was most of it kind of, I guess, put together through, I guess, virtual kind of sessions, or did you meet regularly, or how did that kind of play out?
Yeah, so kind of the way, because we don't all live that close together, to be fair. So
Mm-hmm.
it's harder to do extremely regular stuff, right? But yeah, so it's kind of a mix. As I said, like Blake and I will kind of put together songs, and then we'll do a lot of calling and kind of go back and forth, and you know cut bits out, make changes to kind of. There's always room to improve a song from the from the initial demo, I suppose. So kind of
Mm-hmm.
working back and forth on that, and as I said, then send it off to everyone else, and then I'd have like Stan would the bassist would come over to me, and we would kind of go over some ideas, and if he wasn't in person, then he's kind of doing it at home and recording it and sending it, and then we're getting on a call or we're texting and having discussions about kind of parts and what we can change, and then same for drums as well.
That's awesome. It's cool like how technology has kind of like evolved so we can do things like that nowadays.
Definitely, and allowed you to kind of have a big part of this band was always having. It's difficult to find people, right, and find the right people that have the same goals and same
Hmm.
like musical taste, same drive. Because I feel like in a band that's kind of we're not niche, but we're not doing maybe what everyone's doing. It's like we're playing like technical music, so it's kind of difficult
Hmm.
to find those people. So the internet allows you to it allows me to live 3 hours away from the bass player, which is quite an amazing thing, really.
Yeah, and I think even things as small as, and simple as, do bandmates get along? Because you have to at least kind of get
Oh
along.
yeah, yeah. No, that is another good point. It is very difficult to kind of find the right lineup, because the second you kind of lose one person, or the drive isn't there in the same way, it's really hard to all push onwards as a unit, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's cool that we can do that nowadays, so it makes things
Definitely.
a lot easier. Were there any songs that did get created that just didn't make it into the EP or maybe might make it into an album?
Yeah, so the goal with this was kind of, we were going for the album really, and
Hmm.
then we had some advice kind of saying go for do the singles kind of thing, like just do that, drop a song. And so then we went for that. We picked the three songs that were kind of what we felt were the ones for this. And
Hmm.
there's stuff that didn't make it on, but it wasn't in our heads. It wasn't like, oh, it's not going to make it. It's just like, this isn't for this now. It's like, we're going to choose these three, and
Hmm.
this will be kind of what this EP is going forward.
So for the songs that didn't make it, are you like reserving that for an album, or is it just like no, or did you just trash them, or what's going on with those?
Yeah, I think it'll be a case of kind of going back in and like reworking bits and kind of changing things up, and kind of, and obviously making sure like for the record that it's all cohesive.
Hmm.
And but I think we definitely have a style, as like, even if we've developed across our last EPs, it's I don't really feel like it's different, but it's not crazy different, right? So I feel like these will be able to make it transfer across, because the goal is the full length, and throughout the whole time of recording is that we're still writing riffs and kind of getting stuff together.
Hmm. And for this EP, are there any songs that like started very differently during like demo process, but the final product was very different?
I think the main bulk of riffs were the way the songs are is if you put them back to back, they'll probably be a lot. You wouldn't really tell a ton of differences, but the
Mhm.
biggest changes kind of going through it were kind of just like transitions, and like as vocals start to come into it, you're like, oh, we need to make this section longer, and kind of like in one song at the start of like Abyssal Uncertainty is like I before the kind of like dissonant kind of lead line at this in the intro, it started off as like a bit more of like a melodic thing, and it was everyone was like, no, like this isn't really kind of fitting. So I kind of went back and changed it, and yeah, but I wouldn't say there are any major differences.
Okay. Well, that's always a good thing, less that you have to change and things. So,
No, definitely.
so what do you really love about this EP? Besides all the songs, because, it's your creation, but what do you really love about it?
Um, I think it's kind of going back to what we said before, is like it does feel, especially as this now has come out, as it's like we finished it quite a while ago. It was
Hmm.
recorded, it was all recorded and kind of wrapped up last May. So, it's been a long time coming. So it's obviously like, I think as you move on from each release, you're always looking forward, right? And I think now to have this out when it was written a while ago, is you look back at it as like this is what we did then, and
Hmm.
it's like what I really like about it is that yeah, that is what we did then. Do you know what I mean? It's like that was us just doing, we're like pushing ourselves. It's like
Yeah.
it's a bit more technical and like the hooks are bigger, and it was like that's kind of what I enjoy about it, is that everything that we set out to do with that EP, I think we really accomplished.
Well, that's awesome. It's always good when you accomplish what you're looking to do, for sure. So with this EP, can fans expect this to be a part of an album at some point, or is this just like a standalone EP?
Yeah, I think these kind of, we've spoke about it, kind of like passing comment kind of thing. Like one day we'd like to merge every all the EPs we've done so far, like maybe into like a compilation thing. So it's like,
Yeah.
the early years of this band, and then kind of have that. But it wouldn't be packaged as like the new album. It would be, a compilation of those things there, and kind of tie it all in together. But
Hmm.
that's all maybe one day,
Yeah. So is the band just going to work on like playing shows, or are you guys working on like a new album?
Yeah, so a bit of both really is obviously the big goal now for us is kind of the full length, and yeah, and then just kind of getting in, playing some shows. Like we've now got enough release material to kind of go out and start looking at doing some headline stuff. So that's kind of on our radar now, is to start trying to like, put on some headline shows and start trying to build off of kind of what we've done. And then
Hmm.
hopefully by the time, the full length kind of lands, we've kind of done our fair share of headlines, and we've kind of built to a nice place for for the EP, no, for the record to land.
Right. So with this kind of like being in the works, where are you in that kind of, I guess, timeline? Are you guys like working to like set up shows, or do you have anything set up for the next few months?
Yeah, so in term we got some stuff that's kind of, in talks right now, but not too much we can kind of say. But yeah, and then from there it's kind of like depending on, it's more scheduling now, and kind of seeing what is right, and then trying to fit in our some headline shows, really, is that's the goal.
Okay, so fans can look forward to knowing that that's in the works right now. So
Yeah, definitely.
awesome. So for someone who hasn't heard this album, how would you, or the EP, how would you kind of like describe it to them?
um Kind of um technical, in your face, hooky, um, and yeah, just old school, but bring in the new school kind of influences as well, kind of trying to combine like, what we what kind of got us into this genre really, is like the 80s, the 90s, and kind of
Hmm.
trying to bring that into what we would consider like, you know, the more of the modern day kind of stuff. So I don't know if that is kind of, if I said that very well. I feel like
So
I've
kind of like
kind
a
of got a bit
combination.
of, yeah, kind of, yeah, just blending, blending those influences of death metal, and yeah, just trying to write good songs whilst trying to keep it technical and kind of have all these elements. But the main thing we're trying to achieve really is a good song.
And it also kind of sounds like from what you said, they also get an experience from the old stuff, the current stuff, new stuff, and future stuff. So it's kind of like an
Definitely.
all experience ticket.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And for someone who hasn't heard the EP, what song would you recommend for them to listen to first and why?
um yeah, I don't, again, it's just it's difficult because each song I feel offers something so different. And like Survive the Vermin's the slower one, and that's kind of why we chose it as the single, because it was like, it's a lot more, it's less of like a sonic assault, right? There's much more, it's slower, kind of paced differently, and that was the first time we'd done something like that. But I think really off this new EP, something that I feel like sums up a bit of everything would probably be Continuum.
Mm-hmm. And why would you choose that song?
I think it just kind of plays into all all our strengths really. Is like it's kind of got like the groovy sections, the breakdown, and then like the drums and the bass have a lot of cool interplay. And I just think it's just, yeah, I feel like it really sums up especially this era of the band.
Would you say it's like the heart of the EP?
uh yeah, I don't know, I really don't, I don't know. I'll have to get back to you on that one, I think.
Yeah, no pressure. The heart is like, one of the
Yeah, yeah. No, it's difficult. I feel like it's kind of hard to judge because there's only three songs.
Yeah.
So it's like, maybe if there was more, there'd be one song that kind of defined the whole thing. But I
Hmm.
feel like for me, these, this EP, they really stand alone as like three different. And I think every song is, every song has obviously the stuff that we do, we're playing to our strengths, right? So it's the
Yeah.
stuff that we all do well, but every song has kind of a bit of something different going on.
Maybe it can just be like a different part of the heart, so then all three of them together make it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. As time awaits is the heart.
So with the title, As Time Awaits, what were you kind of going with that name?
So it's funny because it kind of it came about from a misheard lyric or a misremembered lyric.
Okay.
At the end of Abyssal Uncertainty, it says endlessly whilst life awaits.
Yeah.
And for some reason I had it in my head that it was as time awaits.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came forward and said, what about as time awaits for the EP name? And then our bassist Stan was like, that's not the lyrics. And I was like, oh yeah. But it's kind of really cool though. I was like, because then I said, oh well, it could be, whilst life awaits. But then we kind of all discussed it, and then we all just said, yeah, as time awaits feels like, because it still feels relevant to the EP though. It's not like we've, obviously it was a misheard lyric, but and maybe it was it was a coincidence that it also felt like it really, as soon as I said it, it just felt like, oh, this actually kind of encapsulates this whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, isn't it kind of funny how you hear a song and you just think it's the lyrics, and then when you finally figure it out, you're like, I have been, singing that
Yeah,
song for the
wrong
past
all
10
this
years.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, always a fun time. So, one last question for you here. Is there anything that you'd like to say to your fans or anyone who's interested in seeing you in a show or, just your bandmates?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say thanks to everyone that's kind of supported us through, this whole journey from the start. The people that have stuck around and they come back, they, buy merch, listen to our music, come to shows. Those are the people that kind of allow this to keep going, right? And like, and then, shout out to like obviously the guys in the band that have kind of keep this thing driving, right? And then I guess another shout out to kind of other bands that have kind of supported us through the years and kind of helped pull us into different places. And yeah, like none of this is possible without any of these people. So yeah, I'm very grateful.
Well, that's awesome. And the cool part for anyone watching this is you guys don't have to wait to listen to this EP. It's already out.
Yeah.
And
Now,
and it's three songs, and you guys can get through three songs. I've listened.
exactly.
I really liked it. I haven't really gotten into the death metal thing, but since I started doing interviews, I'm like, it's my go-to.
Nice.
So I'll link all the links are going to be down below, so you can just do a quick click if you want to listen to it, buy an album, just support bands because that's what we're all here for.